it's Jill with Close to My Heart, and today I'm going to show you how to use our amazing and fun interactive card dies. So this is such a fun new product that you can find in our core catalog, and you can see here the samples of the art that we are going to be creating in this video. So we're going to be recreating these two cards, and in the catalog you can see that we've been able to show you how that interactivity works, but until you experience it firsthand and actually get to play with these pull tabs and make the cards interactive, you really can't appreciate how amazing this technology is and just kind of the mechanisms that make this happen. So here is one of the cards that we're going to be recreating, and you can see here I've got this little pull tab at the top, and by simply pulling this little piece up, those candles come and raise up out of the cake to reveal even more candles. It is such a fun way to make your cards interactive, and there's so many different ways you can use these dies, and I'm going to teach you how to use them today so that it's really easy for you when you order these dies and some of these fun interactive stamps that you can create these cards with no problem whatsoever. So let's go ahead and look at what we'll be using. So we're going to cut with this die cut set. It's called the pull tab set, and once you own this, you can make these cards again and again and again. And I promise once you've done it once and figured this out by following along in this video, you'll be able to easily assemble these cards every single time. Now we have two stamp sets that work really well with this with this mechanism here. We've got this another cake on your candle fun set, and we've got this happy birthday set, and so both of these are birthday ones, but honestly anything can pop in and out of these cards by using this amazing die. So let's go ahead and cut the pieces we need to create the mechanism. I'm grabbing my magnetic cutting mat and just a scrap of paper. This one is about 3 inches wide, and it's a 12-inch strip that I folded in half because I need to cut 2 of everything to show you both cards. So the first die we're going to cut is this long strip here, and this is going to be our pull tab mechanism. So I'm going to put this in place on my cardstock. Then you have this little die cut piece, and this is a band that's going to wrap around the pull tab to keep it from moving side to side. So we'll put that in place. Then the last thing we need to cut is this little half circle. This goes on the very top of the tab to give you like a finished element on this. You could easily put a button or some fun embellishment on the top if you wanted to finish it differently, but in the die cut set you have a little piece that will let you finish that off. So I'm going to grab my die cut machine, and we're going to give this a quick pass and set this on, grab our platform, we'll go ahead and cut this. This is going to give us 2 of each of the pieces that we need. So we've got the 2 pull tabs, my tweezers, and pop this out. That's what these little holes are for in your dies, to help you get those papers out when they're tucked in tight. Then I've got 2 of the toppers, and 2 of the bands. Here's one, the other one is right here. Okay, so those 3 dies are going to help us with the actual pull tab. Now the next thing that we're going to cut is the track for this die. So you can see as I interact with this card here that this pull tab is moving up and down, and there's got to be a slit that allows that to move through. So we're going to do that slit on the front of the card piece. So here I have all the pieces that duplicate this card right here, and what I need to do is put a slit on this piece. So you can see in your die cut set you have 3 different lengths, and this just allows you to play with the different ways and lengths in which you would want something to move. You might want to do something that moves horizontal and you need a longer length, or you have these shorter. It just depends on how much you need to be able to pull the item up and down. If you just need a little bit, you can use the shorter ones. So we've given you lots of options here. For this card and for the cake with the candles, The easiest one is the medium one, and I have pre-measured this, and it just needs to go right down here about 1.5 inches from the bottom. And basically when you're measuring that, you just want to make sure that you can see where it's going to go and how high up. You don't want it to go higher than the top of that point, so you can kind of just place your items and find the low point and the high point. And then you can kind of commit that. I'm going to go ahead and tape this with some washi tape to keep it from moving, because I also want it to be nice and vertical so that my item slides straight up and down. So now I'm going to go ahead and cut that as well. Okay, cut machine again. This piece with that little track, and it's just going to cut the smallest little sliver out of the card front. Okay. So now I've got the perfect little slit in there. You can see the opening that provides me on the front of that card. Now on our second card, we've got the details all designed on here, and the present we want to open and reveal that sentiment. So I've made some marks on here, and we're going to use the smaller of the dies. I'm going to just attach this. And again, this is where you just, depending on the card you're designing, you would measure where you want it to start and where the highest point you want that item to open up to. So I've got that small little die to give me a little slit. Have our little vertical track that's going to work on the front of this card as well. So those are the die cut pieces. The last thing I'm going to die cut is this little half circle. Well, we give you a full circle. You only need a half circle to cut that little notch for the tab to show through. So right here at the top of the card, we give you that little die, and you could do this at the same time as that last die. You could put both of them on at the same time if you wanted to when you crank that through. Just make sure it's right in the center. Oops, and that through, and it will give you a perfect little notch. I love too that it's got the detail of even some stitching on that piece. So it really kind of makes it look purposeful that you've got that little notch taken out of your card. Okay, so here is our little notch. And then you can see how that finishes that off with the fun little stitching. So let's do it on this piece as well. That through. All of our die cutting will be complete, and we'll be ready to start assembling these interactive cards. There is a little notch on the top of that card piece as well. So let's start learning how you're going to build this interactive card. I'm going to pull this over so you can see all the pieces that we have for each of the cards. And we're going to start with this card down here. So the cake being able to move up and down happens between these two pieces. You need a base piece and a top piece. So I like to go ahead and start by building this mechanism. So let's look at it on the close-up camera so you can see how this works. These pieces right here fold in and back out. You can see the score lines on them. And then this piece will go in and back out, so that right there looks kind of like little frog legs, and it creates a circle on that piece, and it folds in and out. So then with these other two pieces, you're just going to fold in and in again. And from there, you're just going to put some adhesive to seal this so that it becomes a strip. So I can put some adhesive on this side and fold in. And I can put adhesive here and fold in. So now this is your finished interactive piece. And these pieces that you folded in and back out are where you are going to attach your cake to. So now come back over so then you can see that here is where my candles are going to be adhered. Okay, before you adhere that, you're going to take the piece with the notch on it and feed these pieces through. So let's look at that close up as well so you can see how that happens. Okay, so you have that little slit and you have these little pieces that go in the track. You're going to feed those through, put them down to the bottom, and that is what is going to slide up and down. Now, remember we made that little band piece. So I'm going to flip this over and take the band, and you can see too it has little score marks. We're going to adhere the band shut. So I'm just going to put a little bit of adhesive on this little piece right here, fold it where the score lines are, and tape it closed, but keeping that open part of the band. Does that make sense? You can see there how that goes. Now I just put a little bit of adhesive on this, and I'm going to simply slide the band over that mechanism, and it can go anywhere you want as long as it doesn't show at the top. So here I can just adhere that band down, and now as I slide, this piece does not wiggle side to side. Okay, so from here, then I can go ahead and attach my cake. So I'm going to do that with some glue dots. You can use any adhesive that you want, but I feel like glue dots in this case will help me to hold it right in place on this little circle. So I've got some mini glue dots. I'll just use a couple. Then we're going to attach the cake. Okay, glue dots in place. Now, oh, sorry, we need to attach the candle to this. The cake does not go attached here. So what you want to do though is take your cake base and make sure you know exactly where you want it to be placed, centered and top to bottom, and then where you want your candles to start. And that's where you're going to place that down. Okay, so now my candles are glued to this piece, and the cake part is going to overlap that, and this is going to slide up and down to reveal those extra candles. Okay, so we have built the mechanism. Now what I like to do is turn this back over. I know it's all working. That's what you want to check before you kind of secure everything and you can't get back into the inner workings part. You want to go ahead and make sure that you know that everything works, which we just checked. Then I'm going to put some foam tape along the sides of this to give it stability. Across the bottom, sides, and then this is going to go on top of whatever your card front is. It can be an actual card front, it can be a decorative piece of paper that goes on covering the card front, but basically whatever your base layer is where you're going to attach this piece. So this is going to get sandwiched on right here. Okay, so this gives you, the foam tape gives you the space to move that up and down without it being attached directly to that piece of paper. So now I know that that's working. Now I'm going to take my cake, and what you want to make sure is that your foam tape that you put your cake on doesn't attach or stop the candles from going through. So I'm going to put some at the very bottom on this base because that does not interfere at all. Then I'm just going to put a little bit of foam tape on both sides, just enough to give it some dimension, but not to get in the way of those candles. I can place this on card front, and then we should be able to see our cards or our candles come up and down. Isn't that so fun? So that's as easy as it is. Once you learn how to build this little band part and then figure out how to slide it through the little slit on the front of the paper and then centering all your items, it's that easy. Now let's go ahead and finish this off with that fun decorative detail. So you just want to go ahead and make sure this is pressed all the way down, and then you can cut this equal to your card top. And then you can just go ahead and take one of these fun, you could do these in different colors, which would be really cute. You can just fold this at the score line, pull this back up, and attach this little piece right at the top to give it a nice finished look. And then you can go ahead and finish by embellishing the card. You can see here all the extra fun details we did once the interactivity was built. Then we added some stickles to the candles. We've added some sparkles, some gems, and just fun other details. We've even added another stamped element with some shimmer trim and the happy birthday sentiment at the bottom of the cake. But that is the build for how you would create this card. So now that you're pros by seeing it once, let's do it one more time as a refresher for how this comes together. And we'll do it on this card here, A Wonderful Year card. So here is our base, and we're going to just work to make the present open up and down. So this piece is my card base. This gray is the piece that I'm going to use as my build for this piece going on top. So right now I can put this piece aside, and I'm going to work with these two pieces, and we are going to do the exact same thing. So we're going to start by folding in on this piece and back out. Okay, and that's going to be the piece, the little area that you have to glue on the stamped item that's going to move up and down. So once you've created that, you've folded that in and back out, then we're going to fold the two back pieces to create the strip here. Folded that in, and then I can go ahead and put adhesive here so that this all just stays nice and shut. A little more here, even though I'm probably going to cut that top part off. We give you plenty of length on this die so that, again, if you were using a slimline card and you needed to go even further, there's lots of options there. So then once you've done this, the first thing you do is test the piece into the slit on your card front. So I've got both of those little circles, and they fold out on the inside, and then they should be able to move up and down through that slit, which is perfect. So once that's in place, then you're going to flip it over, and you are going to take this little band that you die cut as well, and we're not going to seal it. We're just going to put adhesive on the one little flap, fold it at the score lines, and attach it right there so that it is still open like a little tube. Okay, then I like to just go ahead and put adhesive on that one side. Then you're going to slide the band over your entire strip, and you're going to shimmy it down to where it's going to give you the most stability and keep this piece nice and straight. Then you can just attach it to the back. So now we know that as I move this, the band or the strip is not going to wiggle left to right because that band is holding it in place. So that's the purpose of that piece. So now we've got our pieces, and we know that this happy birthday is going to be the piece that attaches to those circles. So we just want to test where that needs to be to start. If the present is going to go midway through this sapphire strip, then I'm going to put the present when the card is closed right there. Okay, so it's right in the middle of the happy and birthday sentiment. So now I just need to put some adhesive here. I did glue dots last time. I'll show you that it works just great with some adhesive as well. So let's just double check that again. Hold everything in place. Put it right where you want it to be. And then when you press down where that adhesive is, now our present is attached to the mechanism that's going to slide. Okay. It's great. Next, we flip it back over and we're going to foam tape around this piece to hold it in place. And it's not going to move because of that band, but this gives it stability on the card itself so that it doesn't want to sag or wiggle. The end of that foam tape, so we use some thin foam tape on the sides just to give it that dimension. This gets sandwiched onto whatever your base piece is, the next layer of your card. You can add as many layers as you want. You just want to make sure that you're building this whole piece kind of as one sandwiched element. So now this is going to go centered on our cardstock here. And then the last detail that we want to make sure we add is the present itself. And it needs foam tape on the sides, but again, not to cover up any of that yellow card. So I can take just enough and go right along the edge of this piece with the really thin foam tape. This is going to give you the clearance that the present needs to move up and down. So then we can place this right on top here. So when the card is closed, or you're giving it to someone, it looks like this, and then they get the opportunity to move it up and down to reveal those sentiments. So that is the fun detail of these cards, and you can see here that then we just need to finish off the top. So we'll cut this. You can take one of these little half circles. Again, you can embellish this with stickers or buttons or anything that you want, but you do have this little die piece that will help finish it off. And you can just place that right over the top of your pull tab. And your interactive card is complete. So there we've been able to use those dies to create two really fun, interactive, unique cards that all move and reveal such a fun surprise to your recipient. You're going to be able to do it with the different stamp sets here. We will also be having more stamp sets that come out in the future catalogs that will be able to show you ways that you can use this interactive die. Plus, you can use it with almost any stamp if you want to just get creative on what you hide in behind, different layers, die cuts, and things to create such fun interactive elements. So I hope you've learned a lot and that you will be able to grab this fun die cut set and use it in many, many different ways to create some fun interactive cards.